Let's welcome our second panel. First on the News Hour tonight, before I go into my next report, Sohail Seth, Managing Partner of Counsel Edge, joining us from Chennai. Dr. Pullappuri Balakrishnan, well-known economist from Thiruvananthapuram. Abhay Aima, who is a well-known voice of the corporate world, market analyst from Mumbai. Dr. Subramanian Swamy of the Janata Party. Prasenjit Bose is a left-leaning economist. Prakash Javadekar is Member of Parliament and spokesperson of the BJP. Bijon Mishra stays with us. Question here is this. Politicians' burden passed on to the middle class. Rather, should we put it this way, politicians' interest and your burden. The government calls it a small correction. So keep subsidizing the rural population, keep adding the burden on the urban middle class. Dr. Subramanian Swamy, my question to you is, I don't know what the CPI inflation rate was. I think about 9.7% in November. Now, the direct impact of this is going to be that the inflation rates are going to go up. Why do we get a sense that at one point, this is something that powers right now don't seem to be very worried about? The political impact, the Aam Aadmi impact of this decision.
Well, they are in a terrible mess, and they are doing what like a drowning person clutching at straws. This is not going to change the fundamental situation of the economy, which is it's on the verge of a debt trap. The government has been meeting the deficit by cornering the surplus funds of the banks, public sector banks. Now they have reached a situation where new loans are more or less equal to what past amortization or principal and interest that they have to pay. Then the industrial sector is declining in growth rate, and there is a huge hole in the balance of payments. So they have a huge problem. They have become bankrupt of ideas. So they are doing the soft thing, raise this. In the 1970s also we saw, in the late 60s, that cigarette prices used to be raised in every budget. Now, of course, cigarette can't produce that kind of revenue. So now they have gone into this place. Now, the demand for petrol and diesel is inelastic, which means what the middle class is going to do is cut on something else, which will cause recession. In the meantime, this will cause inflation because everybody is going to raise the prices. So that's why I'm saying that this is not any great new reform or marketization, nothing. It's a total collapse of the government's thinking on economic reforms.
Abhay Aima, why do all those people who say this is great reforms moving in the right direction not question the policies of the government when it comes to the bigger subsidies? What is there to celebrate in terms of this being a prudent economic decision, the announcements that were made today? Why were the markets jumping?
I want to make 3 points. First, let's break down the usage of diesel. 20% is used by farmers, 20% is used in the transportation of heavy vehicles, 10%, approximately 10% goes to the high-end imported cars or the fancy cars. About 10 to 12% is used by telecom companies. The bulk carriers, which includes the railways and the airlines, consume almost the rest of it. So where is firstly the direct impact on the common man?
So because it contributes the most in terms of inflation, and you know that, you are dodging that aspect. But I let you dodge the aspect because you want to build your argument by dodging the reality.
No, I'm talking of food inflation. Then food will also be an inflationary item, since you asked about the other subsidies. Let me just complete
transportation,
my argument.
everything, yes.
My second point is that, if we are saying that this is under the garb of fiscal deficit and we are listening to rating agencies, why don't we listen to our own RBI governor, who is not a part of rating agency, who is not a foreigner? My third point is, if it is so politically suicidal, if it is so damaging, why is the opposition crying hoarse? Let them be happy and say this is disaster for them. And if all these steps, that populist measures were right, by now the left party should have been the ruling party by the largest majority. So please don't discredit the common man, please don't discredit the Indian voter. I think they are far more sensible than most of us who are debating this
I
issue.
put this question to Prakash Javadekar and then to Prasenjit Bose. The question put by Abhay Aima is this: if the government is doing something suicidal, why don't you just let the government go down the suicidal path? It should work for you politically. I think it's extremely, it's a very short-sighted argument. But in any case, you put the question, Prakash Javadekar, let the government commit political suicide. Why are you complaining? Abhay Aima is asking you that.
No, because Ram Manohar Lohia used to say कि जिंदा कौमें 5 साल राह नहीं देख सकती. And that is why you can't wait and tolerate like what government is doing. See, there are fundamental 2-3 things which we must bear in mind. First is that in 2004, after assuming office, the government said that within 100 days we will declare the hydrocarbon pricing policy, which has till date not come. So there is no policy consistency, which is creating real distortions. The second is that there are 4 elements of the cost. That is, first is the import cost, second is the oil company's efficiency, third is the taxation. In taxation, you are taxing, this is a high taxation sector, 2 lakh crore is being collected by the central government. This year it will collect 2 lakh crore complete. So if you are collecting from one sector and actually burdening the people with that, you must correct on all fronts. And then you can say that we have taken step, now people have to come forward. But that is not the case. So, you are not talking about efficiency of the companies, you are not talking about the taxation, and you are simply raising the prices. And mind you, in last 1 year, diesel prices are raised by 8 rupees, petrol apart. The diesel prices have been raised by 8 rupees. It's a whopping 3 rupees and 5 rupees in 2 doses. And now it is 50 paise they say, but mind, the
Your
real
scheme,
words
sir.
are not from Moili.
Sir, it's your
is from
scheme.
Chidambaram.
Sir, you are the
Chidambaram
author of
says
this scheme,
we
sir.
have said them.
Sir, you are the
small
author of
correction.
this scheme, sir. You deregulated petrol prices in 2002. I'm tired of repeating it all day today. You know you did it. April 1st, 2002,
But
it
I'm
came into
telling you.
effect. You were BJP
No.
spokesman then.
Ramnaik.
Vajpayee
See,
was
there
in
is a
power.
context.
It was discontinued in
context
January
to every
2004 in the
No,
eve of the general
let
election.
me tell you.
So I'm tired of repeating that, but you know I'm absolutely right on that.
No, 1 minute.
You are the author of
Just
this.
1 minute. It is the issue. No, but author means there
Author
is
means
a
the
context
copyright
to
is
every
with you.
decision.
The copyright
No,
of
but let me tell you,
deregulation
that
is
time
with the
when
BJP.
1 minute. No, there are 2 contexts, and you must listen to it, Arnab.
Listening.
That first, the general price rise was in total in control, and there was no real inflationary pressure still. Market prices and ration shop prices were not different. It was below 5%.
Everybody
so
justifies
it was
their
under
decisions.
control, under wrap. People were happy. And no, second is that time the international prices were $30 per barrel. So in a context you take decision. But
Everybody
after
says
the prices are going for $100, then and when the prices domestically are totally uncontrolled and going
Okay,
average,
responses.
you can't
We're getting
burden
responses.
more by
Let's
this.
get a
This
couple
is
of
not a
hands raised out there.
policy
Let's get no. One sec. So Sohail Seth is coming in. Mr. Prakash Javadekar, Sohail Seth has raised his hand there. Prasenjit Bose. After that, I'm coming to you. My question today is this increase in diesel going to improve roads, improve infrastructure, improve education? You know, get some benefits for the Aam Aadmi, or is it only aimed at getting some votes through some schemes which are dysfunctional or on the brink of collapse? That's a larger question that the Aam Aadmi in urban India is also asking. Sohail, say it, please.
Listen, I want to say a couple of things here. Number one, hypocrisy is a common virtue to all political parties. So, you know, whether it's the BJP, the Congress, and we are apolitical people, so we couldn't be bothered about their political ideology suffering at the hands of what I would call virtual hypocrisy. Having said that, there are 3 arguments which we must place before, as you say, the nation. Argument 1, how long will you continue to subsidize present-day consumption and leave an overarching burden of debt for future generations?
What do you mean by present-day
consumption? We will not be forgiven for that.
No, what do you
Number
mean by
2,
present-day consumption?
When government, what are we doing? You are subsidizing consumption today because you want to make political tokenism a virtue.
Whose
That's
consumption?
exactly what you're doing.
Whose
So if
consumption?
the government raises prices,
whose consumption,
you damn
Sohail
the
Seth?
government. Our consumption. It's not Prakash Javadkar's consumption alone or Abe's consumption. It's your and mine. The rich do not need the subsidies that are coming through diesel today, but they get them because we don't have a mechanism of separating the wheat from the chaff. Number 3, Meghna Desai, who you and I both respect, said on your channel that there will be short-term pain but long-term gain. at times, Arnab, it is wise to bite the bullet rather than continue to be holed in a cocoon of political opportunism and then say, oh, is the government doing the right thing?
Sir, but
Finally,
one second.
Abhay made a
The
very
middle
valid
class,
point.
the middle class, Sohail
Abhay,
said,
one
is
minute,
not as
let me
rich as
finish.
you
I
think.
will finish.
No,
I will never interrupt
Sohail,
you.
1 minute. The middle class is not as rich as you think. You look at the household
neither
saving
is
rate.
it as poor.
The household saving rate today has fallen from the previous year. There is an erosion in savings. Growth in personal loans is down. Consumers have cut down spending. Inflation has gone up. I don't know what you're talking about. This is the reality of this country. The middle class is reeling.
Let me explain.
The middle class is reeling.
You in terms of economics. What you're saying is that there will be immediate inflation. Yes, there will be.
No, I'm not saying.
What do you want?
No, I'm not saying.
What do you want to happen?
I'm not saying that.
Do you want to continue to bleed the same oil companies
do you want to bleed
as well as government shareholding, which belongs to the public?
Do you want to bleed the same middle class which is already cut and bleeding?
I mean,
which is not taking loans, which does not have money left for savings, and I am talking pure economics. I put economic arguments to back what I said. Prasenjit Bose, who's bleeding and who's not? Your response to Sohail said.
Your question to this government.
Can I say something here?
Should be, where are the power plants that you promised? Where is the infrastructure you promised? Why do farmers consume so much of diesel? Because they don't get regular supply of power.
Sure.
Those are the real questions.
I am asking those questions, but the middle class is not rich. Prasenjit Bose.
Yeah, Arnab, you see, one of the great tragedies of our country is that people who are, these pen pushers of the corporate honchos and the fat cats of our country get a disproportionate voice. But unfortunately, the bulk of the working people, the majority, millions of people, farmers, small farmers, workers who have to travel long distances through buses, their voice don't get represented. You are talking about, I want to remind your viewers that in 2009 May, when this government came to power, the price of 1 litre of diesel in Delhi, no, okay, fine, you please don't interrupt me. So when this government came to power in May 2009, the price, go on interrupting me. Very good, very nice. So in May 2009, the price of 1 litre of diesel in Delhi was 30 rupees. Today it is 47 rupees. You are talking about in 3 years a 17 rupees hike per litre in diesel in the city of Delhi. In Bombay, Calcutta and Chennai it will be much more. So my short point is that it is not about the middle class alone. It is about the farmers, it is about the workers. Everybody is suffering from near double-digit consumer price inflation that we are having over the past 3 years. These insensitive people, they don't understand how poor people live, how their family budgets are going completely awry, how they are having to cut down on their food because of inflation. That is point number one. Point number two is that it is not about political suicide. This is a government which is, you see what they have done today. Mr. Moily, I was listening carefully to an interview. They are trying to be clever by half. They are giving something, this LPG cap, a very partial, minuscule measure from the left hand they are giving, and taking away much more from the people by deregulating the diesel prices. Point number three, as far as the oil companies are concerned, all those people who are worried about the financial health of oil companies, can they please say, how come the oil companies are giving dividends to their shareholders if they are making such huge losses? They are all listed companies. So this whole myth of under-recoveries that is being built up.
Dr. Balakrishnan.
Nothing but
I'd get an economist to answer an economist. I'd get Dr. Balakrishnan to respond to you.
Allow me to finish my point. The last point I want to make. The last point that I want to make. You are talking about a situation where, you are pitting, I am also an economist by the way. And you are pitting one kind of subsidies against the other.
We can see.
My point is, you are saying why not cut food subsidy? I am saying why don't you cut the so-called incentives which are meant for the corporates?
So you see, the problem is that Prasenjit Bose, Prasenjit, part of your argument has stood. Then problem is the moment you made it political, your argument is not holding. The same consistency of argument should hold. Because I'll tell you why. You're an economist. You calculate today. Prasenjit, 1 minute. Prasenjit, you calculate today. You are an economist and I am not. But you sit down and calculate today how much will be gained because of the price in diesel if it goes 1 year from now. And then you calculate how much is the increase in a food subsidy bill. You will be amazed, Prasenjit.
Correct.
You will be amazed, Prasenjit. The two numbers match.
Exactly the same.
The two numbers are exactly around the same.
Can I?
In other words, what are you? No, Prasenjit. In other words, you are taking from one side and you are giving to the other. This is politics.
Yes, but with due humility.
Dr. Balakrishnan.
Can I also suggest? Can I also suggest you make another calculation?
Can I come in?
No,
Can you make a calculation that if we get even half of the black money that is stashed away?
Sure. Let's do that.
How much else?
Sure, let's do that.
Food subsidy against fuel subsidy.
Sure, let's do
You bring
that.
back black money.
Sure, let's do that.
You stop the corruption scandal.
Sure, let's do
stop
that.
the
You know,
natural
one second.
resources. You will gain a lot of revenue.
You know something, I'll tell you one thing, divorce politics from economics, then I'll turn around and tell you, go ahead and carry out disinvestment, and then Prasenjit Bose, don't tell me disinvestment is bad. Let's carry out the disinvestment.
Correct.
You are opposing the disinvestment of companies like Nalco. No, that is a political hot potato for you. Cut subsidies.
If the left...
Cut subsidies, carry out disinvestment,
No. So, Arnab,
bring back black money. We are agreed. Dr. Balakrishnan, your response.
Prasenjit, one question.
No, Dr.
If the
Balakrishnan.
left-
Dr. Balakrishnan's response first to Prasenjit Bose.
Yes.
no, Arnab, I also want to read.
Dr. Balakrishnan, please.
Yes, I basically believe that since diesel and petrol is almost entirely imported, there is absolutely no option but to raise the domestic price to be broadly in line with international prices. Now, this of course should be part of a larger restructuring in the economy, whereby the saving on the oil subsidy must be put into infrastructure in the economy, which is what really helps the poor the most.
Yes, Bejon Mishra, you wanted to come
Can you
in.
hear me, Mr. Goswami?
I can hear you. Go ahead, complete
Yeah,
your argument.
yeah,
I can hear you
Arnab.
loud and clear, sir.
Yeah, Arnab, the reason we
sorry,
supported
you're going to have
the
to repeat the
government in the
question, I'm
early
sorry.
90s
No, my
to
question,
bring in reforms.
My question to Dr. Balakrishnan, I'm repeating my question here. I'm repeating my question here, Dr. Balakrishnan.
Yes.
Would you agree here?
Yes, Mr.
Would you
Goswami.
agree with Prasenjit who defends food
Yes.
subsidies, while at the same time questioning why subsidies are being taken off on diesel? Would you agree with his line of thinking? That's a straight question to you, sir.
I couldn't hear the second part. Continue with the food subsidy, but?
No, continue with the food subsidy, but question why subsidies are being lifted in other areas.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think lifting the subsidy on diesel is completely the right thing to do. It's largely consumed by the middle and upper middle classes, and it should be put into infrastructure in the economy. That is what will help the poor the most.
Absolutely.
But where's the correlation here? It's not going into infrastructure in the economy. It's going into creating. It's going into creating unviable assets
But that's
or no assets through the NREGA. 1 minute. It's not
that's
going
a
into
separate
infrastructure.
argument or no?
No, but that
You
is
see,
important.
let me just also mention
Let us understand that economy
maintaining
has
the
to be a
oil
holistic
subsidy is
view.
also weakening the economy.
No, I am looking for a direct correlation. Can anyone on the panel today who is supporting the increase
no, I
in
can't
diesel,
understand
including
this
Sohail
debate.
said, draw a correlation for me right now that it is going to build the economy, build infrastructure? Abhay Ahmed, do you have proof it's going to build the infrastructure, build the economy, build roads? Can you draw that correlation, and we'll retreat on this argument?
No one is denying the fact.
Well, it's not a
that
correlation,
all
but the
this
fact is that if
But
you lift
you
the
also-
diesel
but
subsidy,
you
the
also
government
don't
will have
want to
more
go the
revenues to spend
You
on
also don't want to go the
infrastructure.
Greece way.
No,
You also
it
don't
is
want
not
to go the
Absolutely.
European way. You also don't.
No, Arnab, can I come in,
No,
please?
it is, there are many.
In fact,
I'd like Abhay Ahmed to complete. Please, I come back to you. Yes, Abhay Ahmed?
No, I said no one is denying the fact. I mean, it's a very simple answer. Yes, we need to get into infrastructure. Yes, we need to develop roads. Yes, we need to do all that. But it is not one or the other. I mean, you also don't need to ask, you need to ask a question, do we want to go where Greece is today?
No, this is...
And anyone who does not realize the rupee depreciation and the fiscal deficit and the interest rate collation, I am afraid does not really know basic or is not talking basic.
Subramanian Swamy,
There's
please.
no point making personal comments like Mr. Prasenjit knows the man on the road and we sitting somewhere don't know. I mean, that is absurd. I mean, I have been critical of this government
Absolutely.
for a
It's a
lot of
stupid
things.
argument.
For the first time in the last 2 months, they are doing something which needs to be for the country, which needs to be acknowledged, and you must give them the credit. This is not, don't reduce it to a personal political debate.
No, but on an equal argument, why don't you criticize the other subsidies which are being increased by almost 500% in the last 8 years? Largely on creating unproductive assets. Why don't you take a position on that? Because it doesn't hurt the corporate sector. Subramanian Swamy wanted to respond to you. Subramanian Swamy.
Well, first of all, I want to know that this fuel hike, which is going to affect the transport sector, is going to affect the middle class who go to work from the suburbs. Instead of that, why don't you scrap NREGA, cash for transfer, participatory notes, auction coal, spectrum? You will have enough resources. The problem is that these people want soft options, and the middle class can't complain, so you pile it on them.
Pilot on the middle class. No, one sec. A pilot on the middle class. I want to go back to the issue of correlation. There is a direct correlation. Now, Sohail Seth and Abhay Aima and Prakash Javadekar, the reason why you are taking a, sort of very strong and strident position supporting the diesel hike is because this correlation is not hitting you. The money to subsidize the political schemes of the UPA government is being taken from the urban middle class, the salaried class of this country. It's been taken from the urban middle class, the 4% who pay taxes. The money is going from them.
We are opposing.
Arnab,
We are opposing.
Yes, Sohail.
The government.
I don't know about... Look, let me just reiterate what I said, and Professor Swamy is right in a manner of speaking. The thing is as follows. If you don't reduce the deficit that we are burdened with, we are going to have long-term pain. A. B. You're absolutely right. We are not supporting the diesel hike. We are supporting the ability for governments to get rid of subsidies where subsidies are meaningless.
But the government is not getting rid of subsidies.
Creating long-term burdens of debt.
Correct.
But the government is not getting rid of subsidies. The government is increasing subsidies. I don't know what you're celebrating. The government is increasing subsidies.
The point I'm making is, Arnab, there's very little to celebrate, but when there is, let's celebrate.
No, but one second. The government is increasing subsidies.
That you need infrastructure.
1 minute.
The government is increasing subsidies, Sohail. Come on, don't put blinkers on. The government has increased subsidies 500%.
The government is increasing. Look, do you want a situation where and I forget the oil companies, I don't want Prasenjit Bose to give me the same old leftist argument, so forget the oil companies for a minute. Do you believe, as Abhay in his earlier analogy rightly did the breakup of diesel consumption, do you actually believe that the farmer and the poor are the only people going to be impacted? No. The consumption largely lies elsewhere. A. B. Where is the consumption and why is the consumption happening in such a reckless manner? It's because for the last couple of years, whether it's this government or the other one,
I think let me tell you one thing.
Let me tell you one thing.
Sohail, I must correct you. Sohail, I'll tell you why.
Raise the railway fares, you abuse them again.
Sohail, I'll tell you 4 reasons. Prasenjit can elaborate more. If I am not mistaken, hike in diesel price by 1 rupee has a direct impact on inflation. 12 to 15 basis points. There is an indirect impact also, so the total impact is almost double. There is a much larger cascading impact. Abhay is an economist, he knows. I don't know why Abhay is not acknowledging that today. It will increase the price of food and goods transported as well. I don't know why Abhay is also not looking at that. Abhay knows more than anyone else on this panel that this will have a tremendous impact on inflation. And by the way, it is a 4.7% on wholesale price index inflation. Abhay knows that as well. But because it doesn't hurt Abhay, and it doesn't hurt Sohail Seth, you don't care.
No, Arnab, you have to understand.
Abhay, that's true.
No, that's a very unforgiving
80%
remark. It's not that we don't care.
80% of the...
Arnav, I want to intervene.
No, let Abhay tell us why he doesn't care today.
I want to interview.
80% of the crude that is imported directly correlated to the rupee dollar. Rupee dollar let me put it as simply, directly correlated to the fiscal deficit, the balance of payment, the current account deficit. So if your rupee dollar goes up by 25%, which is an effect of, I mean, it's not a complicated mathematical calculation. So it's nothing to do with what Abhay is using and what someone else is not using. It is purely to do with the fact that if you get your fiscal deficit under control, by all means, by other subsidies also. But you know, it is.
How will you get your fiscal deficit under control? How will you get your fiscal deficit under control?
Because they have also introduced, your maths is slightly wrong, because they have also introduced that the bulk consumers, the offset in the three LPG cylinders, 6,000 crore, can almost get offset by the bulk import.
Abhay, I'm looking at the big picture, and my figures are not at all wrong. Let me tell you. You know more than anything else. You are selectively looking at the facts today. NREGA under the UPA government, in 2006-7 was some 8,000-9,000 crores. I think in the last fiscal it was budgeted 40,000 crores. You know, right? Where is the fiscal prudence?
That's it.
Where is the fiscal prudence? Mr. Dr. Swamy, am I wrong? Where is the fiscal prudence?
There's no fiscal prudence at all. The fiscal deficit is now 6% of GDP, and if you add the state's deficit, it's over 12%. We are in the Brazilian class.
And overnight you realize you've got...
we are going to be declared as junk bonds.
No, overnight you realize you've got FRBM targets, you know, you have to show some prudence before the budget. So how do you do it? You tell oil marketing companies, okay, deregulate. And then you cover that under the announcement of LPG, so you call it partial deregulation. Then later in the evening you say you can increase 50 paisa per day, per month. So you're trying to sugarcoat a bitter pill. Dr. Balakrishnan, people are going to see
they've run out of ideas.
Prasenjit Bose raised that. Prasenjit Bose, what is this?
Yeah, you see, first of all, I think that, you know, there are too many confusing views that are coming. The first point is that you have a very difficult fiscal situation. Why is it the case? Because you are having that because you're getting all, Dr. Swamy and others are getting the cause and effect wrong. You look around countries across the world, including the United States, you have fiscal deficits much higher than 5%, 6%. That is because there is a global economic crisis. That global economic crisis, please let me finish. I am not interrupting anybody, so please don't give me gyan when I am speaking.
America's crisis was due to derivatives. It's got nothing to do with deficit. It's got to do with financial derivatives if you don't know.
It is a crisis, yes, I know. But now since there is a crisis, they are trying to expand their deficit and pump prime the economy and bring the economy out of the recession, Dr. Swamy. So you have across the world fiscal deficits of much higher magnitude being run by various economies. It is quite natural in a recession, number one. Number two is that the question you are posing, I find it to be very funny. You are pitting NREGA food subsidy against fuel subsidy. I am asking you this simple question. Do you think that the government only spends on food subsidy and fuel subsidy? The government spends on many other things.
Yeah, sure.
Which are many, you know, there is corruption, which is money going
so what
down
about
the
food subsidy?
Then the government also has revenue.
No, what about food subsidy? No, what about food subsidy?
In a country where people die of hunger, you have to have food subsidy.
Oh, really?
In a country
and there's no corruption? There's no, one second. This is, now I'll have to ask you a few straight questions.
Corruption. You check corruption, but don't stop the money.
No, 1 second. How are you tolerating corruption?
I'm not opposed to I'm not in favor of corruption.
Prasenjit, be reasonable. Be reasonable, Prasenjit. There is corruption in the public distribution system. Be reasonable. Listen to my word.
Yes, so
there is corruption.
The public distribution system.
There is corruption or not? There is corruption or not in the public distribution system?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so 1 minute. I'm going to make a few points. You tell me, Arnav, you are right or wrong. My second point to you is 45% of the food grains go down the drain because of corruption. Am I right or wrong?
45% I don't know, but yes, a big
45%.
section goes down the drain because of corruption.
So that is corruption you'll tolerate. Who funds the corruption,
less,
please?
but whatever.
No,
yes.
does the salaried urban middle class... who funds the corruption?
No. Wait. I will point, Arnab, that is the fallacy, that is the fallacy.
No, what kind of argument is this?
I want...
No,
No, the argument is very simple. You get rid of corruption, but don't get rid of the subsidy. You use
It's astonishing.
You make the system
It's astonishing.
more effective
What-
so that the corrupt. No, it's not astonishing. You are getting you're conflating two arguments. I am opposed.
I have heard you.
Not against subsidy.
Can I come
Number
in?
one. No, but wait or not. You hear me out. Hear me out on one
What
other
is-
simple point. You are only talking about the expenditure side. What about the revenue side? The
Yeah.
fiscal deficit is expenditure minus revenue.
Yeah.
What about the revenue?
No, now you're
Why can't
shifting
we
the
raise more
argument. You're
taxes?
shifting the goalpost
Why is
in the
there
middle.
so much of tax evasion?
Now you're shifting the
Why is there
goalpost.
so much? No.
Now you're
it's very
shifting the
simple.
goalpost
If
because
you
you're
are
on dodgy
discussing
ground on that
fiscal
first
deficit-
point.
No. You are shifting the goalpost because if you are discussing deficits, you have to discuss expenditure minus revenue.
Yeah.
Why aren't you discussing revenue?
Okay, so you
Why
want to
can't we
discuss
get
revenue?
more
Okay, let's
taxes?
discuss revenue.
Why can't we get...
No, let's discuss revenue. Okay, one sec. I want...
let us discuss
Prakash
revenue.
Javadekar, I'm coming to you.
Why
I'm not...
can't the
1
rich-
minute, Prakash.
why
1
can't
second.
the rich in our country pay more taxes?
Let us discuss revenue. Okay? So one way of discussing revenue is disinvestment. The government has set a disinvestment target of... 1 minute. See, there again you're jumping...
Why
1
not
minute.
taxes?
I'm not going to say what is convenient to you. The government has set a... I'm not going to say what is convenient to you. I'm going to ask my question. The government has set a disinvestment target of 30,000 crores of 30,000 crores in 2012-13. It is expected that the proposed stake sales will only fetch some 20,000 crores. In 2011-12, the finance ministry could raise only some 13 or 14,000 crores as against a target of 40,000 crores. And you know why? You know why? It's because of the opposition of the left.
You tell me.
It's because of the opposition of the left.
Yes.
It's because
Now let me tell you why.
so you said right now let's discuss revenue. I discussed revenue. On revenue also you are blocking.
No, wait. So allow me.
So what do you want?
To explain the opposition of the left. Do you know the annual revenue mobilization figures of our country? It
No,
is to the tune of 6 lakh, 7 lakh
I have told you there is a hole to fill.
30,000, 40,000 crore rupees. No, so that's why I'm saying you are not looking at the elephant in the room. What about taxes? Disinvestment targets itself are 30, 40,000 crore. That's
Be
too
realistic.
much. What about taxes? Why
Subramanian
can't
Swamy.
we raise more taxes from the rich in our country? That is the most important point.
Dr. Swamy wanted to come in. I have taken you on 2 points. Dr. Swamy wanted to come in. Sohail Seth wants to come in. Prakash Javadekar wants to come in. Let's have a quick final round. Subramanian Swamy, do you agree with this argument presented by Mr. Bose this evening?
Now, how can I? The fact of the matter is that if you really want to plug these holes for raising revenue, all these exemptions you give into the corporate sector, close them, abolish it. You will get plenty of money. Then the cheap rates at which you have given natural resources, you give it at the market price, you will get plenty of revenue. It requires a little imagination. This government is bereft of imagination. What can we do?
Well, then Sohail Seth will stand up and corporate India will come and say that's unfair.
So I agree with Dr.
Yeah,
Swamy.
that's where his hypocrisy will come.
Sohail.
1 minute.
Yes.
Let me say this. By all means, have fair pricing of natural resources, and I've said this before on your channel. But to do one right, or for not having done one right, don't prevent the one wrong from being righted. And that's my argument. Prasenjit, for all his economic models, which he's entitled to hold,
you are raising
the left
freight
ran
rates.
West Bengal into the ground, which he knows. No, 1 minute. Now, since Prasenjit raised the issue about corporate India, let me tell you, corporate India has been extremely irresponsible and extremely selfish when it comes to nation building in many cases. But the fact is, when governments try to right a wrong, we can't be hypocritical and deny them that opportunity. Finally, you talked about corruption. You also talked about the lack of infrastructure. Now, Arnab, let me ask you, when you don't have a cold chain operating in this country, which it should, You don't have infrastructure, you don't have bridges, you don't have roads, you don't have sanitation, you don't have primary health, you don't have primary education. Where the hell is the money going to come from?
Yeah, because I'll give you a simple answer to that.
I mean,
When
you
somebody
can't
takes a
keep
diesel
diverting
car,
money through
when
subsidies.
somebody takes a diesel car on a toll bridge, then he's paying more for the diesel to subsidize the food subsidy bill, and by the time he crosses the toll bridge, the government which was supposed to provide him the infrastructure is also making him pay a huge amount to pay for crossing the toll bridge. The effective rate of taxation in the country for the highest class is 50%. What are you talking about, Sohail? I mean, let's be a little fair to those sections we call rich.
Solution? Okay, now wait,
The solution, the solution is good. The solution is to cut the subsidies.
We have problems in this country for every solution. What is your solution?
The solution is that you have let
problems in this country for every solution.
No, I am not giving any solutions, but I am saying the problem in this country is, and Prakash Javadekar, this question goes to you. The subsidy bill today is 75,000 crore rupees more than what had been budgeted for. And let nobody fool themselves. This diesel price increase will go into subsidizing that extra subsidy. And political parties will not take a position. Even the BJP will not. Because no political party can dare to question subsidies in a pre-election year.
1 minute. 1 minute. Let us understand, we have shown the way out. You were talking about 45% corruption in the PDS. The Chhattisgarh model has been appreciated by everybody, but not followed by all, because it is difficult, but it is success. And you are coming out, you are lessening all that bad element. The issue of NREGA, my state, Maharashtra, I belong to there, and we started in 1972 the employment guarantee scheme.
Sir, please. Sir, please.
But there is a subtle difference. In employment, 1 minute, employment guarantee scheme was a quantity-based salary, A part, and B, it was creating real assets. Here it is no real assets, and that is creating the real hole in the whole scheme. The issue is, on all fronts.
Sir, should economic appeasement stop? No, I am asking you, sir, please. Sir, should, one thing.
Yes.
Should, 1 minute, I am going to simply ask the BJP spokesperson this. I'll ask the Congress also when they come. Sir,
excellent.
You are the BJP spokesman, you are on record, and your time starts now.
Yes.
My question to you is, should all forms of economic appeasement stop? Should all economic appeasement stop?
I support only productive subsidies.
Sir?
We support productive subsidies, not unproductive
NREGA
subsidies.
is proven. I don't have to prove to you that not many productive subsidies are being created. Should NREGA stop?
No, but we should create productive subsidies.
No,
to help the poorer
PDS
sector.
system has collapsed. Food subsidy, this food subsidy which is going to be increased is going to be a waste. Are you against right to food?
We have shown the way. See,
so why?
I tell you, in Madhya Pradesh, if we are increasing.
So I'm asking you to take a position on your beliefs.
18% achieved, but we are taking position. By example, leading from the front. If we are increasing the agriculture growth rate to 18% in Madhya Pradesh successively, and more than double digit for last 10 years in Gujarat, that makes farmers happy.
Sir, let me tell you.
That is the way, productive subsidies.
So Madhya Pradesh has the highest tax on petroleum products compared to any Indian state. So don't talk about Madhya Pradesh.
Not the petroleum
what
product. I am talking about agriculture.
So I am talking about petroleum / the tax that the state earns if you are so concerned about the Aam Aadmi.
No, let us understand that Congress will raise
so there also
fare.
The middle class
Congress
is a soft target for you too.
Rate. And you will ask states to bring it down. It is foolish because Goa did it once. He bring down to 0%. So 7 rupees in one day, it was reduced by 7 rupees. And in 1 month, Congress raised the petrol price by 7 rupees. So what is the game?
It's not Congress, BJP. Madhya Pradesh and Punjab have the highest recoverable sales tax on petrol and diesel. That's not my issue. Question simply is, the middle class seems to be bearing most of the burden. As I thank all my panelists, I invite responses from them. I want to hear from our panelists on whether you feel eventually in a pre-election year, the middle class will be made to pay the most. Is that fair? To my panelists, thank you very much.